Hello folks, I'm John Myrie and welcome to the Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. On this week's show we have reports and tips for you from Jarrett McCarthy down at Hayward Bait and Bottle. And then we talk open water fishing opportunities for the wintertime that aren't that far away with Hayward Area Fishing Guide Kyle Sorensen. Lots to cover on this week's show, all coming up right after these messages.
Finally hit the trails again with the Polaris Holiday Sales Event at Hayward Power Sports. We have remaining 2024 and 2025 Polaris snowmobiles offering up to $3,000 rebate or a 0% financing for up to 60 months or a 2-year limited warranty. We have a wide range of sleds from the economy price Polaris 550 Voyager LXT 2-Up to the unstoppable factory turbocharged Polaris Indy VR1 Boost. They'll go fast, so don't get left out in the cold. Hurry to Hayward Power Sports, just 10 minutes east of Hayward on Highway 77.
The Hayward Lakes Visitors and Convention Bureau in Sawyer County, Wisconsin welcomes you to our Northwoods hometown. No matter the season, no matter the activity, you'll always be surrounded by our great outdoors. What more could you ask for in a vacation destination? Woods, waters, world-class events. Contact us for information on lodging, dining, attractions, events, trail conditions, and more. Order your free vacation guide and start planning your getaway today. Visit us at haywardlakes.com or call 1-800-724-2992.
Riding along in my automobile.
Bumping into things unexpectedly? Make your first choice for collision repair. Ernie's Auto Body, featuring the most advanced collision repair facility in Northwest Wisconsin. With a state-of-the-art spray, bake-down, draft paint booth for that better-than-new finish, laser technology for precision frame alignment, loaner cars available, computerized estimates, written guarantees, and documented unmatched customer service, the clear choice is Ernie's Auto Body, south of Hayward on Highway 63 and Nursery Road, where quality is no accident.
Lynn's Custom Meats and Catering welcomes you to stop by for their great lunch menu. And while you're there, Lynn's also has a great selection of custom-cut meats and sausages, as well as many varieties of snack sticks, jerky, fresh cheese curds, and much more. Lynn's is open Mondays through Fridays from 9 to 5:30 and 9 to 4 on Saturdays. Lynn's Custom Meats and Catering in Hayward.
Today, anglers fish longer. Today, anglers fish harder. Today, anglers rely more than ever on their electronics. It all comes down to catching more fish, and today, anglers rely on Amped Outdoors lithium batteries, period. Visit ampedoutdoors.com today to power your outdoor experience.
We're down at Hayward Bait and Bottle, talking to Jarrett McCarthy down here. And Jarrett, I know, let's talk about the fishing, but I know you got out over the weekend too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to take a lot more than 30 to 40 mile an hour winds kick me off the lake. But yeah, I got out there and we caught some fish.
Let's talk about ice conditions first. I think they've improved quite a bit from what we had a week or so ago.
Absolutely. You know, that big warm spell that we had, it did wonders for the ice up here. And, you know, that big wind that we had, it took a lot of that snow off the lake. And, you know, that warm front that we had, it melted a lot of the snow on the lake. So right now we've got anywhere from, 7 to 10 inches of really nice solid ice out there.
You know, it just allowed that cold to penetrate down when we got those sub-zero nights again. And, it's just going to get better from here. I know most of the snowmobile trails, from what I've heard, are marked on the trails for the holiday weekend here. And, there'll be a lot of people out here in snowmobiles too, I think.
Yeah, we've got a handful of lakes that are already marked for, the upcoming holidays as well. And, we got some really nice warm weather coming too, which will make it a lot more enjoyable to be out rather than those single-digit days.
Yeah, it's easier on the machines, too. Let's talk about the fishing, though. I mean, as far as the walleye fishing, that's the first thing people go out. Are you getting any good reports on the walleye?
We're getting a few reports that are trickling. Now the guys are getting some good ice and are able to start taking some machines and what have you out. They're getting out to a few of these deeper points, some of these offshore structures, and some guys are getting some really nice fish out there. Not a lot, but they're getting some nice fish.
Has it been more of an evening and even night bite?
Yeah. Always is, those peak hours right away at daybreak and, right away at sundown, that 4 to 5:30 hour. Those are the bewitching hours where walleyes are going to hit the ice.
Golden hours, Dave, whether it's the summertime or the winter, it just seems like those are the best times.
Absolutely, yep.
And the pike fishing. The pike is one of the easiest things to catch up here, especially if you want some fish to eat. And, the pike action has actually been pretty good on tip-ups.
It's been great on tip-ups. Over the last, 2 days that we've been out, we probably got 40 to 50 flags with Northerns. And, there's a great size range depending on what your lake you're going on. You got your small 20 to 25s, and we had fish all the way up through the mid-30s. So if you're looking to get out over the holiday and get some kids running for some flags, tip-ups are the deal. So are northern pike.
Never know, too, this time of year, you could get one of the upper-level pike. I mean, I have seen some pike I've actually caught, I think, about 3 or 4 of them that were 42-inch, 20-pound pike over all the years. So there are some upper-level pike out there, and this would be the time of the year where you catch them. But generally, the fish are going to be somewhere in that 30-some-inch range.
Yeah, and, this time of year, even the 20s and the 30s, this is the time of year when you're getting those fish with a really, really nice bill. A lot of times in the summer, you get them, they look emaciated, like they haven't had a good meal in a couple of months. So this time of year, you're struggling to get them through an 8-inch hole, which is awesome. Those are the pike you're looking for. But, yeah, definitely some fun out there.
Yeah, a lot of them are making eggs already for this year, for next spring. And and one tip is if you get a pike that's got some shoulders to it and it's got a nice big girth on it, that's maybe one even if it's like 28 inches or so, that may be one that you want to put back in because that's got genetics to get big.
Absolutely. It's just like the panfish that we're always talking about. Some of those bigger fish, some of those really, really healthy fish, if you want to keep seeing those big, healthy fish, put those fish back. Every fish that hits the ice does not need to hit the frying pan. We can be selective about the fish that we're keeping and still put food on the table.
Let's talk about other fish out there, panfish. I mean, the panfish action should start to heat up now. Once we get past the first of the year, it just gets better and better, it seems like.
It does. A lot of those fish, they migrate out towards deeper water, towards basins. We're already starting to hear that, starting to see that. We're seeing some fish that are still up shallow, in that 5 to 15 feet if they've got weeds or what have you in some of these bays. But a lot of those fish are starting to make their way out to the basins, which could be anywhere from 15 to, 40 feet deep, and they'll just be roaming out there all winter.
One good tip, too, I should mention is that, with the prevalence of live scope or forward-facing sonar out there now, and it's gotten actually pretty economical. There's one out there called the Eagle Eye 9 from Lawrence. I have one of them. They're like $1,000 unit, which is you're not spending $2,000 or $3,000. But with the prevalence of that out there now, I should remind people, if you're out there after panfish and you're catching those fish beyond 25 feet, you got to remember, you're going to have a lot of those fish are going to have barotrauma. They're not going to be able to go down. You might be releasing them 6-7 inches in the hole, but they're swimming off the side. A lot of them are dying underneath the ice. So try to avoid fishing deeper than about 20 feet or, don't release the fish, eat the fish that you catch. It's just a good idea for conservation.
And, and that's part of where using your live scope or your Lowrance unit comes in handy, because if you're using one of those before that fish comes up, you should actually be able to pick out the size of that fish. So if you know that you're out there looking for a meal of 8 to 12-inch fish, a lot of those fish that you're seeing come up, you can kind of start to pick through those kind of fish, those bigger fish that maybe you need to stay away from, or those really small fish that aren't going to release well. So that's part of using your technology for the good of those fish and for the good of your fishing.
You're right, too, because any of the forward-facing sonar now, you got a grid on the screen, and you can actually tell just about how big the fish are. And if you're seeing a bunch of smaller fish and some bigger fish below it, scale up your bait. Go to a bigger gulp, go to a 2.5-inch gulp, or go to something bigger, because you'll kind of keep the smaller fish from hitting the big ones. We'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many different tips and tricks and tools that we can use on all these wonderful new electronics that we have, but we also need to make sure that we're doing right by the fish, only keeping what we need and releasing what we can safely release.
We've got some lakes up here that are actually managed for trophy crappies. I know Moose Lake out there now has a 5 panfish limit. Only one can be over 12 inches. We're seeing more and more 5-bag limits coming out in Minnesota and here. And I think that's going to be in the future, because with the electronics we've got and the techniques and the tackle and the knowledge, it's just getting easier for people to catch fish. And we're seeing more people ice fishing now.
Yeah, and it's also great for the fish because, you go out onto the ice and you're getting some of these 10, 11, 12 inchers. The fillets that you're getting off of these fish are thick and they are big. And it does not take much to fill up a frying pan from, 11, 12-inch crappies. So you're still getting your meat out of it. And, we're protecting the fisheries out there.
Yeah, and if you're trying to fillet a 14 or 15 or 16-inch crappie, you almost need a Sawzall to get through the scales.
If you're filleting a 14, 15, or 16-inch crappie, I'm taking that knife away from you.
That should be back in the water. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about bluegills. Bluegill fishing is one of the things that gets pretty easy, too, later in the year here.
Yeah, and we're starting to see some bluegills. A lot of the fish that I was seeing over the weekend, those fish are still, 12, 15 feet deep in some heavy weed cover. A lot of those bluegills will start moving out towards the edges of those weeds, and they'll stay in some of those weed pockets as long as there's good, healthy weeds all winter. But, that bite will heat up, and it'll be good all winter.
Yeah, and there's other fish, too. A few guys catch a few smallmouth in the wintertime. They get pretty lethargic, but you can get on them sometimes and catch them. And there's quite a few people that do head up toward the big Lake Superior, to do some ice fishing, too, once we get good ice up there.
Absolutely, and the key words to that are good ice. We saw a handful of people that were already starting to head up that way, but, it's just so based on conditions and what we have up there. And, if you're headed out there, make sure you know where you're going, because there's a lot of different ways where bad stuff can happen out on the big water.
Yeah, and be cognizant of the ice conditions on any ice you're on, because, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, there truly is no such thing as fully safe ice. There's always going to be a weak spot or something. You got pressure ridges, you got spring holes, and even on snowmobile trails, the ice gets thicker, so you go out and poke a hole in there, a snowmobile trail, you find out you got thick ice, you move 50 feet off the side, and it gets thinner.
Find out you got thick ice, and you also set a whole bunch of four-wheelers or snowmobiles off that are driving by. What's a hole in the middle of the trail for?
Anyway, down here at the shop, you guys got everything they need for ice fishing. And even if a guy wants to do a little late, after the first of the year until the season closes, bring a small game, you got everything down here at the shop.
Absolutely. We got everything here for you. If we don't have it, we'll order it for you. And if you're looking to get out of the ice, we can definitely point you in the right direction or point you towards someone who knows the right direction.
Well, thank you, Jarrett, for taking the time with us here.
Thanks for having me again, John.
Well, folks, we need to take a break right now and hear from some of the fine sponsors that make this show possible every week. When we come back, we'll be talking fishing with fishing guide Kyle Sorensen. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Hunters and anglers, Hayward Bait and Bottle is your one-stop sport and bottle shop in Hayward. They have a huge selection of ice fishing gear, including portable shelters, power augers, electronics, beaver dam tip-ups, ice rods, and just about anything you'll need for ice fishing. They also have archery supplies, bows, crossbows, muzzle loaders, ammo, and much more to help you enjoy the outdoors. While you're there, check out the bottle shop for a full selection of beer, wine, and liquor, too. Hayward Bait and Bottle is your one-stop sport and bottle shop. There's no time like the present to explore Hayward, Wisconsin, one of the Midwest's most popular vacation destinations. With crystal clear lakes for water sports and fishing, miles of trails for riding snowmobiles, ATVs, cross-country skiing, hiking, and mountain biking, this area is buzzing with activity year-round. Combined with charming local shops and a variety of Northwoods dining options, Hayward is certain to offer both adventure and relaxation for everyone. Plan your trip today and find everything you need on the Hayward Area Chamber of Commerce website. From events and attractions to local dining, shopping, and lodging, visit haywardareachamber.com and start your next adventure now.
Hayward Power Sports asks, can you hear the cool, crisp air calling your name? Make sure you have the perfect companion, a new Can-Am side-by-side or ATV from Hayward Power Sports. We still have a solid selection of new 2025s with rebates up to $4,000 or 0% financing for 36 months. Looking for Can-Am dominance at a value price? Check out a 2025 Can-Am Defender DPS HD7. With a $1,000 rebate, it's priced at just $13,899. As a matter of fact, all remaining 2025 Can-Am Defender HD7s offer a $1,000 rebate, while the HD9s and HD10s have $2,000 rebates. Or be the first to have the latest and greatest Defender yet. The new for 2026 Can-Am Defender Limited HD11 with a dominating 95 horsepower and an awesome 10.25-inch touchscreen with GPS navigation. Answer the call with the new Can-Am from Hayward Power Sports, just 10 minutes east of Hayward on Highway 77.
Certain restrictions apply. Subject to credit approval. See your dealer for details.
Welcome back to another segment of this week's Wisconsin Northland Outdoors, and this part of the show is brought to you by the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau. For more information on lodging and vacationing here in the Hayward Lakes area, check out their website at haywardlakes.com. Well, folks, a lot of people are out there ice fishing right now, But there are some open water opportunities not that far away from us here, just a short drive basically. I caught up with fishing guide Kyle Sorensen the other night on the cell phone to talk about some of those opportunities and where you can find them. Kyle, get you on here whenever I can. You're busy out there someplace in the water or the woods, though, most of the time.
Yeah. Thanks for getting me on again. It's been a busy fall between fishing late into November and also grouse hunting and deer hunting and taking advantage of all the stuff we have to do up here.
Well, it seemed like the fishing was a little bit different this year. I mean, the fish didn't seem to be doing the same thing that they normally do, to me at least. But there was an awful lot of really quality fish caught, especially muskies.
Yeah, it was definitely a year of learning. The fish throughout the summer were in a lot of shallow water patterns. A lot of times in August, it felt like June or it fished like June. And so it was definitely a year of learning and adapting, but I know you're probably in the same situation. This is one of the best years I've ever had for size of muskies. We caught some really nice walleyes, had great numbers of walleyes. Just all around a great year for us anyway.
Yeah, I know. I did really good on the smallmouth. Just some giant smallmouth this year too. Well, Kyle, it's been a different year, and I know you don't go out and do much ice fishing because you'd prefer to fish open water. We got a lot of opportunities, though, for people that still want to go out open water. First thing is we've got that catch and release trout season that'll open up, too.
Yeah, so if you want to fish inland, I think it's January 1st, the catch and release trout season opens up. All the streams around Hayward here or even north of here can be really good fishing brown trout for the catch and release thing. I love to get my boat in Lake Superior in the winter whenever you get a day above freezing. If the landings are open up there, whether it's Saxon Harbor or two harbors up in Minnesota, Duluth, wherever it is, there's some great salmon fishing, great trout fishing. There's really a lot of opportunities if you're willing to keep the boat out. You can fish all winter a lot of years.
Well, and the biggest thing is the boat accesses. I mean, literally, that's the first thing that it will stop you from going in. They freeze up, and you might have great open water, but you got to go 100 yards to get to it sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it requires a little work. Sometimes you got to shovel landing. Sometimes you got to bring a little bit of salt for the landing. I've had many times where somebody's got to hook a stretch rope to the front of my truck so I can pull the boat out. But a lot of times you're not overly burdened with pressure out there when you're going through the extra steps to fish in the winter. Usually we're all alone, so.
One of the tricks I learned years ago late fall muskie fishing was to carry a dirt shovel because I can always dig a little sand off the bottom of the lake right next to shore and throw on the boat ramp.
Absolutely. Another big one that, I see a lot of people not do, whether it's fishing in the spring in Green Bay or the Mississippi River stuff. If it's below freezing, it's really helpful when you're pulling your boat out to let your trailer drain before you pull it up onto the dry land. So just take 10, 15 seconds to let some of that water drain out instead of just rushing up the ramp, because then you ice up the ramp for everybody else. So that's one thing that I always try to do is let most of that water drain out of the trailer in the water.
You got any tips for people on how to keep their gear from icing up, their rod guides and their reels and stuff?
Oh gosh, it's a struggle. One of the big things is either Reel Magic or WD-40, like a silicone spray. I'll spray that on my reels. Obviously you don't want to get any of it in the water, but so what I typically will do is before I go out, I'll spray my line with some kind of lubricant or silicone spray, just to kind of minimize the amount of water that's actually getting pulled up into the guides. Another big one, if it's real cold, sometimes you got to troll so that you're not reeling in every single cast. When you're trolling, at least you're letting your line out and bringing it in when it has a fish on it, hopefully, instead of in out casting.
Well, trolling is a great option, especially in the late fall and in the wintertime, because generally you're fishing you want the bait a little bit deeper. Sometimes you're up shallow, but a lot of times you're getting that bait down a little bit deeper, and you can get it down there quicker and keep it down there where the fish is going to be at a little easier if you're trolling.
Yeah, and it definitely, even just for keeping your hands warm, if you're trolling and you don't have to have your hands on the rod casting, you can sit by the buddy heater and And I've actually got a bimini top and some plastic I throw up around the console of my boat and try to heat it up a little bit when you get those really cold days.
There's always ways to keep warm out there. And with the gear we've got now, man, I'll tell you, that's what's made ice fishing so popular now compared to what it was, is the fact that you can go out there and stay warm. I mean, even people are camping out there now.
Yeah, it takes a little money to get the right gear, but it's well worth it if you can be comfortable out there and spend more time on the water or on the ice.
We're talking about the Mississippi River a little earlier. In the Mississippi, I mean, you came, your dad came from down that way. I did too. We used to fish that a lot. That's a really good fishery in the wintertime, and usually there's times when it's iced up, but more often than not, there's one of the landings that's open down there.
Yeah, there's enough people doing it that people tend to keep the landings open, and whether it's down around Alma or Red Wing or all the way up into the cities, there's a ton of good walleye opportunities, sauger opportunities. One of the cool things about that is the amount of bycatch you catch. There's sturgeon and there's catfish and there's sheephead and there's gar, and you really never know what's going to hit a jig down there in the big river. There's great opportunities all the way up and down that river. It's a lot of fun, and it's something you can do when the lakes are frozen up here, or when they're not quite safe enough to ice fish. Sometimes you can still go get some open water opportunities down there.
Well, folks, we need to take yet another break and hear from even more of the fine sponsors that bring this show to you every week. When we come back, we'll have the second part of that talk we had with fishing guide Kyle Sorensen, so stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Hey folks, come on over to Hayward Ace Hardware and check out the area's largest selection of firearms, ammo, and accessories. We carry top brands like Browning and Sig Sauer, and we have a great selection of the newest and hard-to-find models. We've got a large selection of ammo with more coming in daily. If you need a scope, we carry great brands like Leupold, Hawk, and EOTech, and we'll even mount it and bore-sight it for you too. We even sell suppressors and silencers. And don't forget to check out our Guns of the Week. Huge discounts on a variety of pistols, rifles, and shotguns that change every week. So stop on in to Hayward Ace Hardware, your firearms superstore. Hayward Ace Hardware, Highway 63 North in Hayward, or give us a call at 715-634-8700.
Care for the animals with help from Hayward Feed and Seed. They offer deer corn, mineral blacks, and their famous Big Buck blend. They can also satisfy the hunger of the other animals in your life with a massive variety of dog and cat foods, along with other pet foods and large animal feeds. Plus, they have an awesome assortment of cat and dog toys, along with heated water bowls and plenty of warm, cozy bedding for all the animals in your life. Open at 8 a.m. Monday through Saturday. See the experts at Hayward Feed and Seed. Hayward Animal Hospital is a full-service medical and surgical hospital featuring on-site laboratory, digital and dental x-ray, in-house pharmacy, and online store. Dr. Ostrander has 40 years of experience dealing with illnesses, injuries, surgery, and dentistry. Hayward Animal Hospital offers urgent care appointments and emergency surgery daily. Please call early in the day for these appointments. They open at 8 a.m. Hayward Animal Hospital is located 1 mile east of Hayward on Highway B. Call 715-634-8971.
Hey folks, the Log Cabin Store in Northwoods Beach on Highway K between the Big Lakes has groceries, ice, beer, liquor, and pop, and now has all new tackle and bait supplies. All current antiques and household items are now on sale, and all must go to make room for the sport shop. That's at the Log Cabin Store in Northwoods Beach between the Big Lakes. Welcome back to the last segment of this week's Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. And folks, we're going to jump right back into the second part of that talk we had with Kyle Sorensen. And if people want to go a little farther, I know you traveled around quite a bit, and you've gotten farther south than that. And there's some good open water not that far away, just a few hours south. I mean, you may have to drive for a half a day to get down there, 3/4 of a day. But there's good opportunities in the Midwest here yet for open water, a good chunk of the winter.
Yeah, we do a fair amount of steelhead and brown trout fishing down in the Sheboygan, Racine, Milwaukee areas. Got a good friend of mine, Bailey, that guides down there, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to hop in his raft once in a while. So we actually do something kind of unique. A lot of people are fishing, with waders on shore or wading across the river, and he's actually got an inflatable raft that allows us to float through some of that stuff. And boy, that's a lot of fun. And usually those rivers are open all winter.
You know, and then steelhead down there are a whole different caliber of fish from what we got on the South Shore, too, I think, aren't they?
Oh, they tend to be a lot bigger, a couple pounds heavier and 6 inches longer, and they really, they're a lot of fun. And, you know, honestly, Lake Michigan gets a lot of stocking, so there might be, 50 to 80,000 fish that'll run up a 10-mile section of river just because they get so much stocking. And there's a lot of people doing it, but there's plenty of fish to go around down there.
I think it's the forage base in Lake Michigan versus Lake Superior that, I mean, look at the smallmouth alone. And we've got quality smallmouth up like in the Chequamegon Bay, but they can't come close to the size structure of the fish in Green Bay and over that way.
Well, yeah, I think that the alewives and the gobies that are down there are just such a good food source. You look at, say a 20-inch smallmouth out of Chequamegon Bay, it tends to be, 1.5 to 2 pounds lighter than a Green Bay fish or a Sturgeon Bay fish. It's a very robust fishery over there.
Well, and Kyle, you got a lot of other stuff going on in the wintertime, too. I mean, a lot of people think guiding is an easy thing, but there's a ton of gear and stuff to work on, and it's the same for everybody. I mean, there's a lot of winter projects to keep busy on, whether it's sharpening hooks or making some lures up or making some modifications of lures, getting the boat ready. I mean, I got a ton of stuff myself. I got to spend the shop just getting my boat and stuff done for next spring.
Yeah, there's always so much to do. Sharpening hooks is definitely a big one. I know you're in the same situation with the amount of musky lures we got hanging around. I usually try to go through and sharpen them up, change hooks, maybe change size of the hooks. If something wasn't hooking up real well, maybe I'm adjusting that or adding a blade to a bait or fixing up rubber baits. You can take and melt them or use some plastic glue to fix some of those bulldogs that are chewed up, or whether it's molding jigs or painting jigs. There's putting new line on reels. There's a million things to do to make yourself more efficient once the water thaws out again.
You mentioned, talking about hook sizes, and a lot of people don't think about that, but, sometimes these lures don't have the optimum hook size on for what they should have, I think.
Yeah, most of them are pretty dialed in, but there are definitely some areas where I like to change stuff. It's even something like on a swimming dog, some of them, the two hooks will like to tangle. So I like to either upsize or downsize my hooks so that they don't tangle on the cast, or anything that you can do to increase your efficiency when you can actually be fishing is going to pay off.
Well, especially with muskies, because I think it filters down to other fish too. These fish seem to be getting harder to catch. I think it's a pressure situation. They definitely seem to be not as easy to get to commit to jump on a lure as I used to years ago.
I'm sure it's changed a lot, and especially in the 40 some odd years you've been doing it, I'm sure you've seen some changes.
Oh yeah. It's a lot of difference. And I know you had a bunch of time out hunting too this fall. How'd the hunting season go for you?
Oh, it was great. Even despite the, supposed low grouse numbers, we got into some pretty good pockets of grouse. Some decent woodcock hunting when they were migrating through. Got out and shot a nice buck, and so I'll have some venison to eat, and it was a great fall as always. It's a lot of fun.
Well, Kyle, a lot of good information there. Kind of recap on the fishing season. We just got behind us here now, and hopefully we're going to be back out there again next year, and it's going to be as good or better. You want to give out some of your guide information? Somebody looking for get a hold of you or follow you? Yeah, absolutely. For anybody that wants to get out and target smallmouth, walleyes, muskies, any of that kind of stuff, or trout on the Great Lakes. My website is SorensenOutdoors.com. Otherwise, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, or Sorensen Outdoors Guide Service, something like that. Otherwise, 715-558-8911. Give me a call, talk fishing, shoot me a text, and we'll see you out there on the water. Well, thank you, Kyle, for taking the time with us here. Thanks, John. Well, folks, we're about out of time for this week's show. I'd like to remind everyone out there that if you miss a show, you can always go to our website at wnoradio.com, and from there you can link through to our podcast. You can also find the show on Spotify and all major podcast channels. And also, if you're looking for information on vacationing and lodging here in the Hayward Lakes area, check out the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau website at haywardlakes.com or the Hayward Area Chamber site at haywardareachamber.com. And lastly, if you'd like more information on hiring a fishing guide when you're up here in the Hayward area, check out our website at wnoradio.com. We've got links to just about all the different guides and a lot of information in there on guides. We're out of time for this week's show, and we'll be back again next week with another interesting show for you. Thanks for listening.
Way up in the Northland where the recreation's great. So sit back, relax, kick off your shoes, sink in your easy chair. Come on along, listen with me, I'm gonna take you there to our Wisconsin outdoors, our Wisconsin outdoors.
This program has been produced and hosted entirely by Wisconsin Northland Outdoor Communications.